With me on the broadcast this minute is Bader Al-Saif, Professor of History, Kuwait University. Thanks very much for being here. I want to ask you first for your assessment of what we've seen unfolding in the Egyptian capital. The aim, of course, to arrive at some way of a solution as far as the Israel-Hamas war is concerned. What do you make of the statements that have been issued by the leaders there so far?
Before getting to the statements, let me begin on the rationale behind gathering this impressive large roster of leaders from across the world in Cairo today. The objective is to have a clear stand on the mounting aggression in Gaza. This has translated into an unfortunate failure and lack of leadership from the UN Security Council, which has not, to this point, has issued a resolution calling for a ceasefire, condemning the violence. And this is unfortunate because few attempts have been made, but they keep getting vetoed by the US. And this is something that does not bode well for the American standing in the region and globally. And as we can see in the Cairo Summit, they're trying their best to calm tensions, to call for an immediate ceasefire, to allow for the aid and supplies that has been hanging by the Gaza-Rafah crossing border for weeks now without them being allowed in, and to try and translate the cross-sectional support from people around the world in the region and across. You mentioned the protests in London. There were protests in New York earlier today and many other cities on the unnecessity behind this genocide that's happening before our eyes. The indiscriminate killing of civilians is something that no one should allow. And this is something that should stop right away.
Right. There have been growing fears of this war spilling over and the tensions actually boiling over as far as the entire region is concerned. Do you see that happening? And what, according to you, where are things headed according to you at this point?
Let me explain first that today's war is not the conventional war of the 20th century. Wars come in different forms. We have non-state actors. We have cyber warfare. So the notion of war spilling over or not should be something that we're beyond, because I think it has already involved other parties without us even realizing it. There were news of the Houthi militia purportedly sending off rockets from Yemen across the Red Sea that were being stopped, and there is also a lot of verbal support from other non-state actors across the region. So this is something that is spilling over as we speak. Now, we need to contain it. We need for wisdom to prevail, because the next stage would be that traditional type of warfare that could involve other parties if they feel that they're threatened. And we've heard today in the speeches, for example, a very stern warning from the Egyptian president, for example, concerning the issue of displaced Palestinians and this whole notion of trying to move Palestinians and displace them and uproot them again. You can count the many times that has happened in their history, unfortunately, but the stern warning that that's not going to happen, period, and that's not going to happen at the expense of the Sinai Peninsula. So if things along those lines take place, and it is very delicate, we're talking about 2.3 million individuals in Gaza who are being told that they need to move away from certain areas, and the place is already cramped as it is. Churches are being blown, hospitals are being blown. What's a safe zone? Someone needs to define what safety is. And that's where the international community needs to rise up to the challenge and exert as much pressure as possible to stop this carnage.
All right, we're leaving it there for the moment. Thanks very much for joining us on the broadcast.
Thank you.